Hello, Fort Mill High School. My name is Mr. Young, your career development facilitator, and I have my good friend, Miss Coach Jowers. Miss Coach Jowers. Yep, that's what we're going with. I tell you, Coach Jowers has been a good friend of mine. We've coached track together, but now she's coming to share with us a little bit about her career. So, Coach, how you feeling today?
Doing all right. Hope everyone else is too.
Yeah. So you have, I know you spoke with me about a few different things that you've done. So I'm just going to let you have free reign, whichever career you want to talk about. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and yeah, and your selected career?
Okay. So I currently teach computer technology at Banks Trail. Prior to coming to Banks Trail, I taught what is, I guess, the equivalent of um, ITE or Gateway, something like that. More with the career focus, though. So we went through the career clusters and did different projects in those clusters. But what a lot of people don't know is prior to that, for 10 years, I worked in the fields of architecture and construction as an estimator, a project manager, and a designer. So, to get into those fields, there were certain levels of education and, background knowledge that I needed. And that knowledge is what helped me be able to teach, the things that I have taught. So, that prior knowledge helped me when I moved into the field of teaching, because that's not what my teaching degree is in. My teaching degree is actually in social studies. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So I'd say it was a few things there. So first of all, once again, students, what are we seeing? How someone starts doesn't necessarily mean that's how they're going to finish. And she started in construction and project management and architecture, and now she's teaching. So there's a lot of different ways you can move through there. But
Hmm.
also notice that what she had before, her prior experiences actually help her in what she's doing right now. So Coach, thank you very much for that. Now let's talk a little bit more about this architecture and project management. You say you did that for 10 years.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Clemson. My degree is in a Bachelor of Arts in Design. But while you're at Clemson, they kind of pack it in. I mean, you take it's essentially like a 5-year program packed into one. So it's pretty busy. It's heavily based in like studio work. So you're designing, but you also learn like the construction side of things. So when you come out, you kind of have an idea of how of both the how construction works, and just you have a design degree. Um, so when I graduated, I did work for a firm in Charleston, doing residential design for a little bit. But when I moved to Charlotte, I actually moved into the construction industry, and became an estimator and a project manager. And that was with flooring. So all I did was really use geometry to decide how much flooring would go into these commercial buildings. And then, once we figured that out, we would do an estimate, put in a bid, and then when we were awarded the job, then we would, um, you know, bid the job, get the job, work the job, wrap up the job, and get paid. Um, and then I did that for a couple of years, and then I went back to architecture,
Hmm.
and I worked in healthcare architecture and automotive architecture. Healthcare is where you basically design doctors' offices and buildings, hospitals, things like that. And then automotive, I designed a couple of race shops, worked with, um, a lot of the people that do racing like work with each other. Like they're all intermixed. So they may be a driver for one, but they may have their own race shop where they have lesser drivers drive for them. So there's a lot of little shops up there that you don't even know about. So but I didn't really care about NASCAR, so it wasn't like like a power trip for me or anything. So, um, but it was kind of neat. Um, and then when my daughter was about 3, and then the recession kind of hit in 2008, and I think I was just like, I think I needed a career change. So I kind of wanted to be on the same path as her and have time with her, and um, kind of always thought that I would end up being a professor in college anyway. Um, but figured make the switch now while we were still young and could, do it. So well, I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'd say a few things that you said that I definitely want to highlight. First of all, the using of geometry to figure out the flooring space that's necessary. So, students, for all of you who are sitting back and saying, "When am I ever going to use geometry?" or "When am I ever going to use algebra?" Here's a great example of it.
Yes.
Okay, so what you're learning is going to be applicable at some point. All right. I had no idea that there were those specific types of architecture. So you literally learned how to design everything from race shops to hospital offices. Correct.
Mhm.
That is really intriguing. What other kind of specifications or concentrations in architecture are there?
There are actually a lot. So residential and commercial are so different. A lot of people that do residential stick with that their whole life because it's very nuanced. But even in commercial, I mean, every type of building there is, even the one I even know the person who designed Banks Trail and Nation Ford. I went to Clemson with him. So you know, the, you kind of get in the pattern of, okay, well, this is my type of institution that I design, because the type of finishes, like the requirements. Hospital work and doctor's office work have a lot of OSHA requirements, like safety things that they have to stand by. So the clients come to you and they expect that those things.
Correct.
Just like with race shops, they're the equipment that they use, the storage requirements, the painting bays and the whatever, like there's just a certain amount of space planning things that you would need to take into account, down to the number of parking spaces you would need,
Hmm.
for different types of shopping malls or whatever. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that once you move into different types of architecture. And I think if architecture, um, is your thing, like you would probably work a couple of different places. It's not like someone, because there's a few years where you intern and decide, people would figure out this is what interests me more, and
Yeah.
you would build on it. And I think, for me, I knew that I was not the greatest at math. So saying that I had to use geometry definitely was my best math skill. It came a lot easier to me than theoretical math, which is like calculus and stuff that's like, you know. So asking me to figure out how much, weight a roof can hold that's not me at all.
Right.
So I knew that I wasn't going to be the one to like, know all the stuff about building and joining things together. But I can space plan and I can, put together schedules of how many doors and wall, like all the stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There could be in a architect's office 15 people working on the same project if the project's big enough. Some of the skyscrapers, like I would imagine, the ones that go up like in Dubai, there's probably 200 people just in an architect's office working on that one project at a time. Just all the little things that they have to account for. That's not even any of the engineers involved. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
So it sounds like architecture requires a lot of teamwork.
it does. It does. Not only in your office, but you're also the liaison, between when it goes to construction, the construction company that is awarded the project, and all of the, um, engineering and the subs that the contractor picks.
Hmm.
They have to go through you and submit all of the stuff that they plan on doing, and you have to go through it and pick through it and make sure that they're doing the right thing. So
It's a
there's
lot.
a lot that you're responsible for as an architect. You're responsible for the integrity of that building for, I think it's 13 years after
Mm.
it's built.
That's quote unquote a lot of weight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
So
but you're compensated for it. It's not. It doesn't. It's a profession. It's not cheap to hire an architect. So
that's very true.
yeah.
That is very true. Now, so let's talk about you've mentioned a lot of good things out there. What was the best thing about working in that field?
Um, I really miss the problem solving aspect of it.
Hmm.
Like I really have a good mind for planning and logistics, um, and planning large things at one time, like the moving pieces, um, scheduling deadlines. I really do miss that part. Um, it was high pressure, when you're dealing with somebody else's money, and
Hmm.
you're talking millions of dollars at some point. Um, and then if you work for a federal government, then you have a lot of people, you know, on your back. But that part is kind of exciting.
That's cool. Okay, so then you may have hinted to this
Yeah.
already. What's the not so fun stuff? The more challenging parts of
The
the
more
career?
challenging parts are it's monotonous.
Hmm.
So when you're going through the stages, there are things that you do over and over and over and over again. You are, listing the same material for the same thing in the same a different room over and over and over and over again.
That's right.
You are, double checking yourself because one mistake can cost thousands of dollars. You are staying on the computer all the time, which is really ironic because I'm now still on the computer all the time. But it's a different type of stress. It's like, um, when we don't use like blueprints anymore. Everything is printed out, and it's a file, on a computer. It used to be that you used to actually print everything out and make corrections by hand, and then go back in and redraw everything. A lot of the computer usage didn't even happen until the 90s. So
Oh,
1990s. So now it's just, you have to look in the computer and make all the changes on the computer, and there's just lists of things that you have to make sure, double check, and it that can be really, really tedious.
hmm.
So
I tell you, there's a lot that you have shared with us. The good, the challenging, the exciting, the problem solving. But coach, let's imagine that you are standing in front of the entire student body of Fort Mill High School, and you could tell them one piece of advice as they prepare for their for their career search. What would you tell them?
I would say that, you know shoot high. If you feel like you want to go into something that's challenging, um, that you want to expand into a major or something that you think you're not sure about, give it a try. You can always change in college. But all the tools that you keep in your pocket, they're going to be useful someday. You're going to be able to pull those out and use them again someday. Even if you switch careers 10, 15 years down the line, that's okay. A lot of adults do that. And a lot of adults come out of college not even using what they did, and have to return to college or whatever. But um, the more, I would say, the more professional and technical skills that you can acquire at a younger age, the better off you're going to be, because those can be put to more professional use later down the line.
Coach Jowers, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and giving us your expertise and knowledge. To our students, keep watching. There will be more of these videos coming up, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.
All right, thanks. Bye.